This is MG's first pickup truck in the country, but boy do they came out swinging for the fences. They've got this huge imposing front grille right here and a giant MG badge, signaling that they are here not just to join in the pickup truck party, but of course to dominate it. But we'll see if they can definitely do that. You got these halogen headlamps right here, but you got DRLs as well. So those are the LED DRLs and halogen projector headlamps. You don't get fog lamps right here on the side, but you do have this interesting looking trim on the lower end of the bumper, adding a little bit more sportiness to the entire affair. Now you got this huge hood. It's pretty flat right here, and underneath you'll find a 2-liter diesel engine, but we'll talk about that later on. The overall affair of the looks right here gives you a more boxy, a more SUV, outdoorsy kind of look, and I think it really fits well, especially when you compare it to other trucks in the market. So good job, MG. I really like the front end of this one. Now, one thing going for the MG TRQ though, it's got a really high ground clearance, 255 millimeters of ground clearance right here. Plus, you got a chunky stepboard to help you get in and out of the vehicle. Now, you got this nice looking sports bar in the back as well. You have nice character lines sweeping across from the front fender all the way to the back. Plus, you got these roof rails on top as well. Now, in my opinion, pickup trucks are one of the more difficult vehicles to design, especially for those who tend to look for a more aesthetic kind of appeal. Trust me, if you speak to these designers, they'll tell you. But with the MG TRQ, I think they nailed it on this one. I mean, you've got these nice lines that carry over from the side right here. Now, you do get these bulbs instead of LEDs for the tail lamps, but it definitely looks the part, so there's no worries for me. Now, one thing that might be a bit of contention right here in the back are the location of these foot stands right here. You can always get into the MG TRQ from here in the middle, but it seems like you do have some footsteps here as well. But what's going to happen is that with my size 12 feet, it's these reflectors are just begging to be broken by my feet. So best use this one right here in the middle. You got some parking sensors right here in the back. You get a nice rear camera, and you got the huge MG badge. It also says Brit Dynamic, signifying that yes, you are driving an MG with a little bit British heritage, and the TRQ L badge. I kind of like the iconography or the font that they used with the TRQ L. Looks really futuristic in my opinion. One thing about this though, you do have a huge space in the back, but the liftgate is unassisted. So if you do miss out on a little bit of upper body workout, you can actually use this yourself. And inside you do get a bed liner out of the factory with some hooks all around to add a little bit more practicality. Overall, the design of the TRQ L, it definitely looks the part of a sporty yet rugged pickup truck. And again, it's MG's first foray into the pickup truck market, and again, definitely looks great. Let's take a look at the inside and see what's waiting for us. All right, so we're inside the MG TRQ L, and right off the bat, I gotta say that the interior is as Spartan as it gets, but at least it's got some nice moldings and nice designs, and it doesn't jump right at you as being budget oriented, because you have this nice shelf on top to put all your stuff in, and the middle of the dashboard has this interesting texture to it with a little bit of stitching, red contrast stitching, to match the leather seats with its red contrast stitching as well. The steering wheel has a leather wrapped material to it, but at least you got some buttons to control your media right here on the right, and it's got cruise control to boot. It also has a manual, or should I say analog gauge cluster right here in the front, giving you all the information that you need, but you also have a button right here so that you can check out all the other details of your drive, which is of course very important. The highlight of the show though is this 10.25-inch touchscreen infotainment system with both wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And one thing about MG though is that their infotainment system has got to be one of the smoothest. It's not really the biggest, it's not the most info-packed, but at least you can get through different menu settings without any lag or without any stutters in the animation, which I appreciate. It's also got a rear camera, and I have to say it's also one of the clearest and the brightest cameras that I have. I always say that you don't need a 360-degree camera if it's a crappy camera, but at least if you have a good rear camera, you should be good to go. One thing I have against the MG TRQ though are these capacitive buttons for your AC. Now, of course, I would have appreciated if they gave us some manual switches for the AC, but at least it's not located on the screen for you to control. I would have wished that it had some haptic feedback to it though, so that it can add a little bit more tactile feel to it as you control it. But anyway, you shouldn't be touching this while you're driving. Always park where it's safe before you control this menu or the screen in itself. We got some interesting looking louvers right here for the AC, and of course, well, one thing you don't have any vanity mirrors right here. Remember, you know what they say, handsome is where you look at yourself in the mirror, but rugged is where you look at him or her. And that's the case right here, I guess. You also have a sunglass holder right here on top. You got lights right here. Pretty standard, pretty straightforward. One thing interesting here though are the mirror adjustment. It's a dial, so it's pretty much like a dial right here on this door card, so that you can control them manually like so. And you got some soft touch materials right here on the inboard armrest, which is extendable, but you don't have any soft touch material on the door cards, which is quite a bummer, especially when you're driving this on long runs. Another thing that I wish that the MG TRQ L had though are USB-C ports, or at least an option to have one USB-C. You have two USB-A ports right there, a 12-volt socket, and an electronic shifter for your 8-speed automatic transmission. You have some buttons right here to control your drive mode. You got Eco and Power. That's it. That's right, Power. PWR, traction control, and downhill assist. All right, right here in the back seat of the MG TRQ L, you wouldn't find much toys to play with because this is pretty much a straightforward double cab pickup truck. But one thing I appreciate though, it's got air vents in the back. No USB-Cs, no USB-As, no USB ports. At least you got some air vents. I don't think it gives me enough air, but at least the air conditioning coming from the front is enough to at least cover the entire area. This is something there to augment at least a few things. You have a nice grab handle right here to help you get in and out of the vehicle. Two map pockets right there. You got some great space there. That's one thing that I appreciate here. You got a lot of space for your knees and your feet and your legs, and headroom to boot. Plus, you got a center armrest right here in the middle, and two nice cup holders as well. Pretty straightforward, nothing much to talk about, just good space in the back. My knees seem to be a little high up, but that is to be expected for a pickup truck, especially in the second row seats. It's not really made to be a family car, but yeah, we really use this for a family car, but it's not really designed or made for that. But if you want to use it for that purpose, you can at least bring them out on a out-of-town trip if you want to. All right, so enough of that. Let's take this out for a quick spin and see how this works out. And I want to judge and see how that 2-liter turbocharged diesel engine performs on the road. All right, so we're now behind the wheel of the 2026 MG TRQ L, or Turk, or truck if you're fancy. Under the hood, you've got a 2-liter inline-4 turbocharged diesel engine that makes 160 horsepower and 400 Newton meters of torque. It's mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission, and this is a 4x2, so it puts all the power to the rear wheels. So having an 8-speed automatic transmission helps out with those gear ratios. It actually doesn't hunt around gears unlike some other trucks or even some vehicles that I know. So that meant that engine and that transmission are well mated together and shouldn't be a problem, especially if you're traveling in the city or even out of it. Now, power delivery, it's certainly abrupt. I mean, you've got a lot of torque to work with, so you have to learn how to temper the accelerator pedal, especially when you're driving through traffic. So one thing that you have to understand about this car, this truck though, is that it has hydraulic power steering. So it doesn't have electronic power steering. You don't get a lighter type of steering whenever you're in the city, but the convenience and the plus side of having hydraulic power steering is that you have this certain connection with the road. So it doesn't feel numb at all. It doesn't feel numb. You still have that connection between yourself and the front wheels. so you know exactly where you're going, which is helpful, especially when you're driving in a truck this big. Speaking of a truck this big, visibility around this truck is great. You have a commanding view of the road thanks to the high mounted seat right here. I currently am sitting on the lowest possible setting of the seat, but I still have a good view of the road around me. Right, so suspension wise, you've got a double wishbone suspension setup right there in the front, which I think is a standard for trucks like these ones, ladder on frame trucks. And you've got a leaf spring setup in the back. Now, it's not going to be the most comfortable drive you're ever going to have, and thanks to those really thick wheels afforded by those 16-inch wheels, those thick tires, I mean, afforded by those 16-inch wheels, you can go through any pothole, any rut on the road without any problem. So I can imagine someone who gets the MG TRQ L and bring it off the beaten path occasionally on the weekend, just not those hardcore off-roading trips. I think you can go ahead into any park or any soft, basically any soft road that you can without any problems. Of course, now being a pickup truck, a diesel-powered pickup truck, you won't have very high levels of NVH suppression on the inside. So again, because of the diesel clatter, you can hear it permeating through the cabin. You can hear a lot of the outside world coming in to the cabin as well. But it's all up to par to current truck owners anyway. In the city, I got around 10 kilometers per liter, even in heavy traffic. So that in itself is pretty good. Fuel economy on the highway is also promising. Again, I didn't bring this too far out of town, but on a clear open road, it went up to about 14 to 15 kilometers per liter. Again, not bad, especially for a big hulking truck such as this one with a small turbocharged diesel engine. Safety features of the MG TRQ L include, you got dual airbags, ABS with electronic brake force distribution, you got emergency brake assist, you even have traction control and stability control. So it's basic. We have basic safety features inside this car. You got ISOFIX anchors in the back. Again, you can use this as a family car for any purpose that you want. And one thing that I like about this is that it's got rear parking sensors. It also has cruise control. That's right, it makes driving easier on the highway with cruise control, albeit it's not the adaptive type. It doesn't have advanced driver assist systems, but you'll be glad that it still has cruise control, so you can ease up on your right foot whenever you're cruising along the highway. So pricing for the MG TRQ L hasn't been officially released as of filming just yet, but I was told that the price would be around 1.2 to 1.3 million pesos, which is absolutely not bad, especially for a truck of this caliber. And yeah, if you're in the market for a MG TRQ, you might be interested in getting other trucks as well, especially for the ones in this same price point. Now, one thing about trucks though is that the excise tax exemption that was initially imposed on trucks has now been lifted. It's now gone. So all the other trucks in the market are going to race up in price, which puts this at an advantage. Its rivals would definitely be the more entry-level cars or trucks from other companies like the Toyota Hilux, the variant, the 4x2 variant. You even have the Nissan Navara Calibre. You have the Ford Ranger. The Ford Ranger, I think the Sport 4x2 would be the best matched against this one, and this has a rear camera and a backup sensor as well. Now, another truck would be, of course, the Isuzu D-Max. You've got that going for you. And then, of course, don't forget about the Mitsubishi Triton. All of these other trucks, whatever price that you are familiar with from them, they will be going up in price, which again puts this at an advantage against those because of its relatively lower price at 1.2 to 1.3 million pesos. So what are my final thoughts with the MG TRQ L? Well, here's the thing. We might be a little spoiled too much with all the other cars in the market today. I mean, you've got all these automatic features, you got these power functions, power everything here and there. And of course, let's not forget about electrified cars or even full electric cars. There's something primal, there's something so inherently basic but necessary about driving around in a basic pickup truck. Sometimes all you need really is just enough power, just enough torque under the hood to pull you and your family and even your friends, and sometimes even yourself. Because let's face it, trucks were meant, of course, to be more of a business vehicle. That's why the initial excise tax were levied for these trucks, and now they've been lifted up because we realized that trucks can actually be good family cars. They're good family cars, they're good activity vehicles, they're good personal vehicles, and I think it's a great way to express yourself out there on the road despite this huge size that we got right here. I mean, you can customize your truck any which way you want, and this is going to be a good platform. All in all, it's a simple, basic truck, but it's got enough power, especially, well, it's got enough gravitas on the outside as well to show that, yeah, you definitely are someone who can live an active lifestyle. It's got enough kit. Let's just say you've already bought a truck and you want to set it up in a particular way. This one, out of the box, it's good enough. And I think you will be enjoying this and you won't be regretting getting the MG TRQ if you are in the market for your own diesel-fed pickup truck. I think it's pretty good buy.